Yo, what's good, people? What's good? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? It's gonna be a little impromptu stream. I had actually planned on streaming earlier, but I had an emergency come up. I had to take care of some family stuff, so wasn't able to put together a formal stream. I'm gonna try and be back Monday evening because my job switched around my shift, so now I have to work two shifts in the morning, which is gonna fucking brutalize me. I work nights, so this is gonna brutalize me. But so I'm gonna be back with an official stream Monday evening, but this is gonna be a quick little thing because I've had a lot of opinions on this. I actually posted on my TikTok story. I didn't put it officially on my TikTok because I had to record it at my fucking truck at work where the lighting is horrible, so you couldn't even see me. So I just put it on my story so it could come down eventually because that shit was trash. But um, I've been seeing the online discussions. I'm just gonna jump right into it because I'm only gonna be on here for like 30 minutes. It's just gonna be me talking honestly. So, but I've been having a lot of thoughts bounce around about this, like these like discussions about woke online and all that. And it's like I find them very, very like shallow, honestly, and very like without analysis. Because it's like one side is just saying like, that's not what woke means. And then the other side is saying, well, that's what it means now. So everything I don't like is woke. That's basically what the arguments are. And you have people giving their own definitions of a term that they don't even know the history of the term and where it comes from. And obviously it all stemmed from that clip from Rising where Brianna Joy Gray asked Shorty, what does woke mean or whatever, she asked her something like that. And Shorty couldn't explain it. Now, no, if you're gonna write a whole fucking book about woke, people were like making excuses for her. And it's like, nah, if you wrote a whole fucking book, if I wrote a whole book about, I don't fucking know, fish hooks, you best believe I can tell you what a fish hook is. I can tell you the history of a fish hook, all that shit. If I write a whole book on this shit, when you write a whole book about something, usually especially like on topics like um revolving around politics and sociology and shit like that, like you did a lot of research. You should have done a lot of research on this shit. So if somebody asks you on a tour where you're promoting your book about the thing they asked you about, um you should know what the fuck the word means, what that means, what you wrote your whole fucking book about. So that's my stance on that. And my head's kind of cutting into the Jonesky, but hold on. Let me see if I can. That's a little bit better. But yeah, so if you're going to talk about something, you should and you wrote a book about this thing, you should know what it's about. And I'm going to be talking more. I'm going to be talking about this more on Monday as well. But I just find it astounding how people are giving her, my bad for my camera stuff. And whenever I touch my zoom and focus lens and all that, all this shit pops up. It'll go away eventually. But um it actually, now I'm looking at it on the screen, it looks weird as shit. It's like a little thing on my face, like ah! Damn, it's literally distracting me right now. But if you're gonna write a whole book, if you wrote a whole book about some shit and you're on a tour for your fucking book, you're doing you're doing a press run for your book, you should know what you wrote. This is what you wrote your book about. So that's bullshit. I call bullshit on that. Actually, Monday I'm going to break down the actual like Rising clip. So not I'm going to play the clip of her and play the full, well, damn near the full interview of her on Rising, but I'm going to play Brianna Joy Gray's radar afterwards. But um because I thought her and the other the white chick that she did it with that day, I think they both said some bullshit that just didn't like fucking stupid to me. But overall, I just think that when it comes to the term woke, right? And I'm a person, before I understood like the history of the word, like I've known of the term woke forever and understood what the term meant. So the term was always used in the black community in the way that most black people are telling you what the word means. And sometimes you would see like the black capitalist use the term woke to disparage revolutionary black people, but for the most part, black people use the term as how you ask most black people, including black conservatives, because it's a lot of black conservatives that are looking at the term woke. It's actually black conservatives as well as black liberals and black communists, black people across the board that are like saying, not even questioning like I am, but saying that woke is basically the new N word. So it's like, it's not just a liberal thing like people are trying to frame it. I was watching Jimmy Dore and they did a segment about it. And Kurt was just going on this whole thing, and I like Kurt. I like Kurt a lot. I like Kurt's comedy. Actually, I actually think Kurt is funny. Kurt is hilarious, but I just think he was dead wrong about his analysis on it. And I think analysis is a bad word because he's a fucking comedian. He's just so his opinion. I'll say opinion, but I just think he was wrong on that because again, that's what some black people would call coons, but that's what a lot of like black, capitalists and white supremacist apologists, that's how they tried to frame people who use the term black revolutionaries who use the term woke. Like woke comes from Marcus Garvey. Like everybody, most black people know the history. The term woke, goes all the way back to Marcus Garvey. Obviously goes back to the Black Panthers. Everybody's talking about Erica Badu using it. I think Erica Badu and the way she used it is the fucking problem. Is that Erica Badu gave credence for other groups to start using that word outside of black people. Because that was a rallying cry for black revolutionary and black liberation movements in fucking America, especially. But again, this is what happens when black people start loaning their shit out, other groups take and distort our culture and our meanings of things to make it something that is not. And in most instances, they bastardize it. So this whole conversation to me is rooted in just the black experience in America, period, but especially me, somebody who would say that I fall more in line with communist and socialist thought. It's hard for me to turn other black people there because black people hear white communists saying, oh, woke this, woke that, and they looking like, yo, what the fuck what's up with bull, bro? What's up with them? Like it's making my job harder to try and turn black people, black Americans, and especially working class black Americans to communism when you have fucking white communists running around using the word woke in the same way that Ron DeSantis is using it. And it's a real shame because to me this goes in line with although I have some disagreements of people who are critiquing like I'm gonna say air quotes the Jimmy Dore left because I don't think there's a such thing as a Jimmy Dore left. Those are just leftist. Like I wouldn't consider Sam Cedar a leftist or TYT leftist. They're fucking liberals, and liberals are right wingers, center right at best. So they're reformers, and when it comes down to that term, I feel like when you use that term in the way that most of white America uses it, it only gives credence to ignorance, in my opinion, because it's saying that I know that there's a history behind the word. In some instances, there are white people who know the history behind the word, whether they're conservative, liberal, socialist, communist, whatever you want to say the fuck it is. They know the history of the word, but are just saying it in a way, basically going with the idea that, well, this is what most Americans believe now. And when this is what most white Americans believe now. So I'm going to pander to their ignorance. and and then you have just straight up ignorant people that don't know the history of the word, that use the word incorrectly. It's just like, oh, I'm not we're supposed to pander to ignorance now. So for example, I grew up believing that communism and socialism was basically making everybody equally poor. I grew up believing all the bullshit that the capitalist establishment teaches our youth about what communism is. So with that train of thought that we use for woke, I thus should not be a communist and should not fuck with, or I should be even though I adhere to the principles of communism and things like that, because you'll hear a lot of people that use the term woke, and some people that I like that use the term woke, but say that, well, it's taken on a new meaning now, this, that, and the third. Well, socialism and communism has taken on a new meaning, but we still call it socialism and communism. We didn't change, what these words mean just because, the capitalist establishment um has bastardized and twisted the word from what it actually is. Like, a lot of people's whole missions, people that use this word woke, their whole mission when it comes to communism is to take back what it actually means and put it to the root of what it is. So with that train of thought, you shouldn't be doing your fight. If that's the train of thought we're supposed to be going, and we're supposed to give in to people's ignorance, then we shouldn't be trying to take back the meaning of what these, the meanings and what most people believe these words are. We're not supposed to be educating these people on these things, and pointing people in the right direction when it comes to this shit. So that's my critique when it comes to communists. Now, when it comes to conservatives, because like I said, I interact with a lot of people. I actually don't interact with a lot of socialists and communists. I actually interact with a lot of conservatives and liberals. So these are the people I'm talking to. Liberals are actually the worst, the absolute worst, as most of you know. But when it comes to stuff like this, conservatives annoy the fuck out of me, because it's like, all right, so your whole reasoning for rejecting, if it's not for religious reasons or what the fuck ever, a lot of conservative people's reasonings for rejecting like trans people and all this other shit when it comes to LGBTQ issues, the whole mind work is words mean things. So you can't say that a person that has a penis is a woman because that person is a man. Words mean things. So in your world where that's what you believe, that stark contrast is why are we now changing the definition of what this word has always meant, just to suit your ignorance now? That's been my question to conservatives this whole time. And it really, and again, to me, it incentivizes ignorance. This is actually so um this actually, to me, is political degeneracy. That's a word that a lot of people online throw around now, degeneracy. And I think this is political degeneracy because, from my view, ignorance is part of that. Ignorance is part of, this hyper focus on identity politics when it comes to politics, and when it comes to leftists, and claiming to be socialists and communists, but all they ever fight for is identity politics issues. And that's was very weird to me. It leaves me in a weird space where it's like, oh, it makes me view people, and even, like I said, even people that I respect a lot, that have been on this fucking show, it makes me view them in a light where it's like, okay, so is like it comes off as pandering. Like, those people are pandering. And to me, that's let me know if I'm wrong, but that's not what we're supposed to be doing as socialists and communists, is pandering to ignorance. Like, all of these communist people that we study, like Mao and uh Stalin, Lenin, what's the guy I always I can't Castro. I can't believe surprisingly, like, a lot of the black community fucks with Castro, surprisingly. But Castro, all of these different communist, people from history, Thomas Sankara, all these different people, you know, they were about educating the people, not pushing them further into ignorance. Thomas Sankara, to me, is a special example because he was a person in a country that was very, I would argue, conservative and strict when it came to gender roles. He was somebody that came in and broke those, gender roles, but educated people, pointed out the ignorance within those people's beliefs and things like that. So there's a way to do it without coming across like liberals, where you're just like calling people stupid and dumb and all that shit. Like, there's a way to do it, but but incentivizing ignorance, in my view, is not the way to do it. And that's not the way those people that I just mentioned, from what I've read and speeches that I've seen about them, and biographies that I read, that's not how they did it. So, you know it's very weird to see how how ignorant people can be when it comes to this. But to me, it gets to to an even deeper point where you can see when you so extrapolate what I just said to a macro, to a more macro level. So when people talk about FDR and the policies and reforms that he put into place, and we all know FDR famously said that he was he was rescuing capitalism, not ushering in socialism and communism and blah blah blah. So we all know that. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But the point that I'm making is when those policies came into play, it left niggas out for the most part. Like black people didn't benefit from that shit. So when we talk about the history, when we talk about labor unions, when a lot of these communist parties went in and organized these labor unions and things like that, and yeah, there were attempts, and I recognize there were attempts to push back against um the racism that was fervent within these within those workspaces. However, like if you talk to people from that generation, like when I speak to my grandfathers, when I spoke to my, so one of my grandfathers just passed away, but my other one is still alive. But when I used to talk to them about these things, they used to tell me about their work history and things like that. They were in unions and experienced a lot of racism. They didn't get the a lot of the same benefits that their white counterparts got. Even like eight other like Asians and Hispanics and other groups. It was still very much a lot of the same as before that union came along. So it's like we can sit here and paint an idealized version of what went down, but when it comes to the reality and the lived experience of Black Americans, when it came to a lot of that shit, that's why a lot of Black Americans have a tainted view of socialism and communism. Yo, what's good, fam? A dingo ate me, baby. That's an interesting name. What's good, fam? But so and I'm not bringing up these points just to shit on people. I'm bringing up these points so we can do better. You cannot do better until you know better. So I'm trying to bring in this information so we can move accordingly. And I expect, like I said, people that I respect and fuck with, um, you know, they get it. So although, like for example, like Caleb Maupin is one. Y'all know Caleb's been on this show. Talk about Caleb on the show all the time. I have a high respect and regard for Caleb. However, when it comes, especially to this, to the woke debate, I just think that there's like a hint of ignorance within his perspective on it, because it's like, yeah, I know the history, but I'm just going to keep using the word in the way that these ignorant people are using the word. Whereas I'm looking at it like, well, I put aside my ignorance. I was able to see through the ignorance of the people around me and then see through the propaganda of the ruling class to understand that socialism and communism are not what the ruling class and what the people around me or the ruling class is painting it out to be, and have fooled the people around me into believing what it is. Those are the steps. I wasn't a socialist or a communist. Like I said, my background is 2016, 2017, around there. I was like a Trump supporter. And then before that, I was like your traditional, your normal normie black Democrat in America. I wasn't even like a Bernie Sanders Democrat. If I kept going from pre 2016 to now, I would be telling y'all that I'm going to be voting for Biden. I'll probably be cheering on Biden right now. But I was able to put aside my ignorance. I was able to see through my ignorance and see the truth and see what this person is telling me, my fellow American is telling me. And that is something that I think is a weakness when it comes to a lot of the real, and I say real because that's what I believe, the real communist and socialist movements in America. I think that is a weakness, that they're going so hard, and in a way I kind of see it, but that doesn't excuse ignorance, and especially willful ignorance, in my opinion. This hard combating against the liberalism of these synthetic leftist movements in America, that I feel real groups like, and especially I'm specifically speaking from the Black American perspective, but that it's like, oh well, all right, well, that's, I see your perspective there, but that sounds like the same goofy shit that they saying that conservatives are saying. So that is a bridge, that is a gap that needs to be bridged. Because again, like I said, it's making it hard. Like, I would like, I send videos to, I've literally, like, no, I've literally sent videos to people in my life and things like that, like, whether it's mopping videos or Jimmy Dore videos or different people's videos, and like they get turned off when they hear motherfuckers going on these woke, screaming about wokeism and woke and all this shit. They're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, this nigga sound like the same. Like, he sound like these racist ass white people out there. Like, it's making my job harder. What I'm trying to do. And what a lot of black communists and radicals are trying to do. Unless we're just trying to keep lines where they're at. Because I've been told that, out of the movement to the masses. So that's what I thought we were supposed to be doing. You feel me? If we're fine with where lines are at right now, then that doesn't mean anything. Then we just need to stay within our lines and stay within our borders and stay with where we're all at politically. But I thought we're supposed to be reaching out to people, trying to turn people on to communism and socialism. That's what I thought we were supposed to be doing. So, and again, this is like from what I've read about communist history and communist movements and socialist movements and things like that. There's always disagreements between communists and things like that, which eventually led to people like Trotsky and things. I'm not going into that whole to all that shit. I'm more of just like, you know let's get answers and results, man. And the niggas that I fuck with from those history, from communist history, whether it's Stalin, um whether it's Thomas Sankara, whether Mao, even somebody like Xi Jinping, you feel me? Like all, like more recently, Fidel Castro, all these different people that I've fucked with and come to fuck with, like I fuck with them because they got results. They actually dramatically changed people's lives, changed their people's lives. So, and that's where it's like we cannot, like, and again, like I said, I saw Caleb Maupin is somebody I respect highly, but it's like to use his words. I remember he gave this one in one of his streams. He talked about how, I believe, and I'm maybe paraphrasing a little bit here, but the Soviet Union died with thunderous applause, or collapsed with thunderous applause. And it's like, we don't want that to be us here in America, you know. And a lot of the the things that I think we're, that can be improved upon in the movement and things like that. I don't think these are things where it's like, I'm not saying like, oh, I don't fuck with Caleb Maupin or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is these are things that I like, from especially from the black perspective. Because again, like, anti-communism, I'm trying to tell y'all, bro, anti-communism, it used to be, well, communism and socialism itself used to be something that the black community fucked with, but anti-communism as of late is something that runs deep within the black community, because they saw what happened, you know, like, a lot like what a lot, you hear a lot of conservative black conservatives talk about. I used to be a former Democrat, but then I saw, da da da, this, that, and the third. Biden, whether it was the crime bill, or Obama when it came to the housing market. Most of the people that lost their wealth and things like that, were black people when it came to housing. So these are the talking points that I'm trying to dismantle. But when you're speaking to niggas, I'm trying to tell you, when you're speaking to niggas, and I'm sending them videos and shit like that from different people, and they, like I said, motherfuckers are going on, oh, like this, that, and the third. Like, it's like, woke this, woke, like, sound like they don't, like, they haven't watched y'all motherfuckers enough to understand that, like, you're using it in a different way. And this is where woke, to me, you know, a lot of black people are saying that woke is the new N word, because the only people they see using it in that way, for the most part, are motherfuckers like DeSantis and Trump and all these motherfuckers. And then, like, when they see somebody who's supposed, oh, Caleb sent me this video, let me check it out. And then they're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this, he's saying the same shit that goofy ass racist white motherfucker was saying. Like, like, it makes my job 10 times harder what I'm trying to do. And I would, I'm not gonna put words in people's mouths or put feelings on people. That sounded kind of weird. Put words in people's mouths. That sounds kind of weird. I don't know why. Maybe I just have a fucked up mind. But anyway, maybe I have a degenerate mind. There's a lot of people online that be talking about degeneracy and things like this. Well, sexual degeneracy is so weird. Pretty sure y'all know who I'm talking about. Um, but I'm pretty sure that even groups like RBN or Black Power Media and different Black groups and things like that, like run into the same issues with their peoples around them. But it's like, but again, I'm saying if our goal is to hold where people are right now, is to like this, then there's no point in doing any of that other shit that you're talking about, in my opinion, logically. So I just noticed, I peeped like a lot of the woke and my outright strong opinion on the term woke. Now, my personal opinion and how I feel about the term woke is that I'm tired of other groups hijacking Black culture. I'm sick of it, bro. I'm utterly tired of it. Like, we supposed to change who we are. It just goes to the root of the Black experience in America. How we supposed to change who we are because y'all niggas is uncomfortable. And it's getting to a point now where Black people are just like, nah, fuck you. And that's where you get instances like BLM riots. When you go decades without being heard, about police brutality. All right, fuck it. We gonna fuck some shit up. This ain't ours anyway. This a Korean shop over here. It's an Arab family that owns our grocery store or the if we even have one in our community, at the gas station they own. Like, this ain't even ours. So fuck it. And then the Walmart is owned by white, obviously white people. Like, this is how Black people think, because this is the institutionalized mindset that we've been forced into because of capitalism. And I think that experience is getting rejected. And I wouldn't put Caleb in that camp, because Caleb is somebody that deeply understands. Like, a lot of people don't understand that. Like, Caleb actually, the first video I've ever seen of Caleb was him reporting on this one girl that got arrested at school for protesting something. I forgot what it was. And his video that he recorded was actually instrumental in um in the court case that the girl was involved in. And even like I said, even somebody like Jimmy Dore, like this is why I find a lot of the rhetoric around Jimmy Dore being like this, racist, white right wing guy. I discovered Jimmy Dore through his police brutality videos at a time where I wasn't there on police brutality at that point. I was more of a police reformist. You feel me? I'm looking at Jimmy like, yo, this nigga crazy. He sound like my homie talking about abolish police. Yo, but that's where I've grown on that position. But I'm saying, like, the so this isn't a condemnation of those people. This is just I would say at this point, a mild critique. This is a mild critique. This isn't something that I'm like, I can't fuck with them because of this, this, that, and the third. That's not where I'm at. So, because again, I think their information has been invaluable. Watching Caleb streams has put me on to so much information, like, that has expanded my view even further. Even with like a lot of the Black communists and things like that I fuck with now, I would have never learned about if I wasn't watching his streams. So, but yeah, so that's just, I wanted to give my 2 cents on it. Oh, but but woke, when it comes to woke, I'm just sick of our shit being hijacked by other groups. And it's like, when you look at the history of the term woke, basically you had a bunch of off code Black people essentially leasing out the term to other people. And I'm not saying Black people own this term and things like that, but what I'm saying is, when it comes to Black liberation movements and struggles, these, whether it was the Black Power Fist um or woke, all of these different things that you see other groups use now in their movements, this is shit that was for Black people. That at the time, those groups were saying it was problematic. Why are you have your fist up at the Olympics? That's problematic. Why are you using the term "stay woke"? That's problematic. You sound like one of the Daishigi people. Oh yeah, but yeah, I definitely Pan America. I definitely educate myself. I'm actually currently reading Stalin's dialectical materialism book. I didn't even know until I forgot who mentioned it. It may have been Midwestern Marks. They mentioned that Stalin wrote a book about that. I never knew that because, like I said, I'm still fairly new to this shit. To the you know I'm new to this communism, socialism, like whatever the fuck it is. Like, but I don't even go around like I tell people what my ideology is, but I just like that's just what I believe. I believe that the economy should be, the means of production and the economy should be geared towards people, not profit. I feel, that's and that sentiment has grown even deeper, as I've been learning, more about Africa and getting more into Pan-Africanism as well. It was so weird because I was like teetering. I was like kind of into the FBA stuff, but then a lot of them are like anti-communist and things like that. So that turned me off. And then, like adjacent groups to that, like ADOS and all of these different groups and everything. And then like Pan-Africanism is just the thing that made sense to me because, I don't think it's inherent to any one economic ideology and social ideology, even though you have a lot of like what I would call capitalists in the movement, like somebody one of the most famous, I would say, Pan Africans right now. Even though I think he's a positive, but also a detriment to the movement. But somebody like Dr. Umar, I would have called Dr. Umar, a communist or a socialist. I would say he's a capitalist, but I think a lot of the stuff he says is good for the movement as well. Um, but they don't outright reject, socialism and communism. So that's where I feel I fit in. But yeah, I feel the same way. Uh, Pan American. Like I don't watch a lot of people anymore. I just watch the things that I find interesting. Like I watch the only thing I watch, I would say I watch consistently is Gray Zone's Friday streams when they're going over like their articles they wrote and everything. That's probably the most consistent thing I watch. I don't watch a lot of Door. I watch him up in here and there when he's talking about when he posts the clips and I find the topic interesting. Um I watch RBN here and there too, but um either I don't think they understand it at all. See, I don't know that because, like, for example, I would say Thomas Sankara was a Pan Africanist. You feel me? Kwame Ture, or not Kwame Ture, but Kwame and Nkrumah. I would say was a Pan Africanist. Malcolm X was a Pan Africanist. Martin Luther King, Pan Africanist. Well, I wouldn't say Martin Luther King was a Pan Africanist, but definitely Malcolm X. Obviously, what's his face? What's his name? Fred Hampton. So, but yeah. So th- that's my opinion on woke. I mean, oh, the new okay, yeah, 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 definitely. Like Umar. Like I think Umar is a perfect example of that. Like I think Umar's criticisms of China and Africa is very like he would be welcome on Fox News or MSNBC to say the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually brought him on to talk about it one day. I can see Tucker Carlson bringing him on to shit on China. So, but yeah, so that's my opinion on the term woke. And sometimes it gets me angry because it's like just like yeah, I think so too. It seemed like he was moving more towards a radical. He was moving more into the communist and socialist camp as opposed to his like milk toast social democratic stances and principles prior. But if you read a lot of the stuff towards the end of his life, he was saying shit like, I feel as though, unfortunately, I feel like I led us talking about Black Americans into a burning house. And that's when he started talking about economics more so and things like that. And but I think it's even a step further. I think he was talking about integration. That's why I was kind of like flirting in terms of like studying it, but the kind of like the new segregate black segregation is like black people need to be in their own separate corner, this, that, and the third. And yeah, yeah, that's why I said you're on a replay, bro. But But the whole black segregationist thing, like a lot of them use a lot of the things Martin was saying towards the end of his life as credence to their ideology. I wouldn't say I necessarily believe in segregationism, but I believe that in order for black Americans to be made whole, reparations is a thing, but we also need to be able to uplift our own communities and eventually build our own institutions within America as well, because we were blocked from doing that, whereas other groups were allowed to do that. Like, like I said, I talked about this a while ago on the stream, but you have the Republican Party who just got finished, running blatant anti, Islamophobia narratives, since 9/11, are now welcoming in, is people of the Islamic religion, and more so, Arabs and things like that, into the fold, because obviously they align with each other on the religious standpoint for the most part when it comes to conservative values. So not necessarily like the religions themselves. I'm not saying like Christians and Muslims get along, but the conservative values that they have, they recognize that they align along, that they align on those, along those lines. And unfortunately, you have a lot of immigrants. I talked about this in my immigrants video, that are perfectly fine with anti-black rhetoric, anti-black policies, that in the end hurt black Americans, the people that have been here the longest. We've been here before white people were even fucking here. Go read about um Abu Bakari II. Read Christopher Columbus's logs about how they traded with Native Americans, and the Native Americans talked about dark skinned people and things like that. And when they go back and trace where a lot of the some of the things, the artifacts that Columbus traded with the Native Americans, the composition, the mineral compositions, are traced back to Africa. So like we're we've been here longer than most people have, and we get treated like dog shit here. But even in the structure of America, the United States of America, like black Americans built this fucking country. And now we're turned. Dave Chappelle did the perfect stand up about this. He said we built this motherfucking country only for them to turn around and call our people lazy afterwards. And unfortunately, this is where I feel other groups need to go back and educate their people on the history of black Americans in this fucking country. True solidarity cannot be had until these discussions are had and hashed out. It can't happen. Like, I'm sitting here arguing with black people about why you shouldn't be shitting on immigrants, because these people are, some of them, a lot of them are victims of, sanctions regimes, imperialism, all these type of things. But then only to have some fucking Spanish chick, talking about how black people are lazy and want to mooch off of other Americans. Like, you feel me? It's the same thing that I was talking about with the woke shit. Like, I'm trying to put black people, my the people around me, onto communism. Exactly. Pan American, yeah, exactly. But I was trying to put them on the communism and shit. But I sent them a video, and these niggas like talking like DeSantis when it comes to woke stuff, ambiguously on that front. It's the same thing. So it's like it's making me look goofy and stupid, because one thing, I'm offering a nuanced opinion, but then as most Americans exist in a dumbed down world, so they see something different, like, well, what about that X, Y, and Z, this, that, and the third. And it's like, where I am trying to push them out of that ignorance, other people are pushing them further into it, thinking it's going to somehow like bring them to that. No, it's not. You have to educate people. You like Neo cannot become Neo if he took the blue pill, and Morpheus was like, well, we can still take him on the ship. Even though he didn't take the red pill, we can still take him on the ship. He took the blue pill, but fuck it. We're still gonna win. That's not how that works. Bro, it's not how it works. I'm trying to tell y'all that shit. It's not how it works. It's the same thing with religious people. I know some people on here may be religious, this, that, and the third, but regardless, you know, this half in, half out type of mentality, like that's not how the force works. And if you just saw the Force Awakens, but so yeah, so you can't like Ignorance, in my opinion, has to be stamped out. You cannot have knowledge um where there is ignorance. You just can't. It's not there. It's like oil and water. It's not like they're two opposites. Now, if your goal is to manipulate a dumb person, or not want to say that, but an ignorant person, then have at it. It's a roll of the dice. It's a 50-50 gamble. They're just as likely to turn on you as they are to benefit you. But bro, same here. They look at me crazy. Like I was just having uh I had a car ride with my cousin and just like talking about mild, stuff. And it's like I'm not saying he didn't know these things, but it was like just like certain shit, and then I'm not, I tend to not talk politics with my family because I don't like to argue with my family and shit like that if we disagree. Cause like I get passionate and I yell. I'm not trying to get into an argument with my mom or my stepfather or whatever, because they have their beliefs, especially when it comes to religion. My lord, I don't talk religion with my family. I try not to. But you had those family members. My mom is petty. I love my mom. I love you, mom. But my mom is petty as shit, bro. She know I don't fuck with the religious shit. She know I don't fuck with Christian shit. But just they just throw it in your face like, well, maybe if you believed in something, this bad thing that happened. No, mom, I love you. I love you. Don't do it. I be trying. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah. So that's just those are my opinions on those things. Uh yeah, man. So I'm actually going to DC today, later on today. I'm actually about to hop off here in about 5 minutes so I can start packing my camera equipment. Bro, exactly. Especially in Africa. Especially. That's why I'm like, um, I'm not one of those people that wouldn't I ended up I couldn't make it to Rage Against the War Machine because of work scheduling conflicts and everything. Y'all see, I'm a big boy. I gotta eat. I gotta eat. But but nah. But I couldn't make it there. So any of my critiques of Rage Against the War Machine, that wasn't a reasoning for me not being there. So I do want to say that. But like, I'm like, why is Tulsi Gabbard? That's more of what I'm talking about too. Like, why is Tulsi Gabbard there? Like, pro drone. Like, if this is a anti war. So that's why I'm like, y'all should have just made it about the conflict in Ukraine. Because when people kept saying this is an anti-war rally. Okay, well, if it's anti-war, why are you inviting somebody who's pro drone strike? Why are you inviting somebody who's pro occupying Africa? Like, what huh? That just didn't make sense to me. Even somebody like me, I wouldn't feel welcome at an because I'm not anti-war. I'm anti-imperialist. I'm a person that believes you should avoid war at all cost. But I also recognize from my own life that sometimes, and I said it on this channel, I might make a t-shirt out of it. Sometimes niggas gotta fight. That's just straight up what it is, bro. I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've been in that camp before. Sometimes niggas just gotta fight, bro. That's just what it is. You would like it to not happen, but some niggas, it's just go down. Like, if a nigga feel offended and I could soothe the situation as much as I want to, but if niggas still have problems, there's nothing I can do to stop them from having problems at the end of the day. It's, whether it's 5 years, 5 minutes from now, or 5 years from now, it's inevitably going to happen. But especially with Russia and Ukraine, that's especially when you have a entity trying to push that to happen. So that's where I'm like, I'm not pro the war in Ukraine. I'm not at all. But I'm also looking at it from the perspective of like, you backed Russia into what else the fuck were they supposed to do? Like, we clearly see that leveraging their the oil markets that they have in Europe wasn't going to work, because when when Uncle Sam came in and said, yeah, get rid of that, they got rid of it like that. So it's like that clearly wouldn't have worked. I never hear anybody saying that, because we just saw it happen and it didn't work. So it's like, what was Russia supposed to do? Just sit here and allow nukes to get on their border? Some people will say yes for the sake of peace, and while in the same breath, talking about how maniacal and insane the United States is, and talk about U.S. imperialism and shit like bro, it's illogical. It's fucking stupid. That's how I keep trying to tell people. Even this whole like non-violent and YouTube, Twitch, whoever. I'm not advocating for violence when I say this, but I keep trying to tell people there's not going to be no peaceful revolution in America. Okay. They blew a nigga's head off to protect theirs. And y'all think it's gonna be some peaceful? Keep dreaming, boo-boo. Keep going and getting your permission slips from the government to protest. Keep doing that, boo-boo. You have fun at that. I keep trying to tell niggas that shit. So it's like either you wake up to the reality of that or just sit back and enjoy the ride as this country collapses. That's what I keep trying to tell people. That's how I keep trying to explain to people. You can't have, this is the same thing. Like we're seeing how like a country like Russia, we like a country halfway across the world that they feel is threatening their power when really they're threatening their profits, but not even really. The United States is fucking greedy, corporate greedy, and they just wanted more profits. And obviously they're pushing the World Economic Forum agenda in tandem with that as well. But regardless, they're not giving up their power peacefully, bro. I keep trying to tell niggas this shit. All of this talk about peaceful revolutions, that's not how the force works. I keep trying to tell people this shit. Rome been telling y'all this shit. Motherfuckers hate him for it. He been telling y'all this shit. Nigga, they killed a sitting president on live television, bro, for talking about abolishing the CIA. Nigga, fuck is you? All right, yeah. Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton. Do we got to keep going down the list, bro? Like, and now with the smear, like they realize they can't just kill niggas no more. So now they just smear you. Like, come on, man. That's how niggas talking about Jimmy Dore 24. I'm like, yo, keep same people that keep voting too. You keep doing that. You keep doing that. You keep trying to fit your fucking dick through a doorknob, bro. You keep trying to fuck a doorknob. Go ahead, have fun, bro. It's just stupid. Like this is just dumb. And then people arguing about this political shit. Like, nigga, no, fuck, you're dumb. You are so dumb. People that are still arguing about electoral politics. People that are still arguing about, look, I talk about electoral politics when it's funny. I talk about AOC when she's going full on fucking black preacher on a fucking podium while she's gaslighting people. I talk about things like that when it comes to electoral politics. You're not beating Goldman Sachs at the polls. You're not beating Raytheon at the polls. Or at the voting booth. It's not happening. I keep trying to tell niggas this shit. You get Trump in there. Yeah, like people are talking about, well, maybe if we get Trump in, he'll stop the Ukraine. No. Now, I think I think that'll actually be, I take that back. I think that'll be the one thing he'll be able to do, because I think the establishment wants out of the war, but they don't know a way to get out of it. And I think Trump is their way to get us out of the war in Ukraine. I think a faction of the ruling class think Trump is the way to get us out of that war. But other than that, nigga, he's not doing anything else. Like a lot of this shit we're experiencing, the train derailments, he played a major role in that shit. The bank bailouts, he played a major role in that shit and deregulating them. So can we please, like, nigga, the slap in my face to me later when I learned was Steve Mnuchin, who was out here collecting black people's houses like it was the fucking Infinity Stones during the housing crisis. Like, yo, so that's what I'm saying. Either realize that peace ain't the way, or kick back and enjoy the ride to collapse. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm saying they want out of Ukraine for sure, but I'm saying they don't know how to do that with Biden. But I think they see a way out of it with Trump. Whereas they can have the liberal establishment be like, he's pulling funding from. It can be this whole culture war issue too, where people are so the Ukraine war, instead of being like, geopolitical analysis, is going to just be devolved into a fucking culture war, and there's going to be stupid people arguing online. Jackson Hinkle's going to be riding Trump's dick, talking about MAGA communism, and fucking while he's out traveling. We got broke ass Americans here. He's out traveling somewhere. That's what's going to happen, especially in the independent media space. Like that's exactly what's going to happen. So just get ready for politics to get way dumber than it already was, is what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling y'all right now, like once it gets to a certain point, I'm not gonna be talking about this shit. I'm gonna be on here talking about fucking, I don't know. I might go the Franco route. Franco been doing some ill shit. He said his focus has just been on like, elevating consciousness and things like that. And I don't disagree with that. I agree with that, but it's definitely way less annoying than trying to cover this fucking stupid shit that's been going on. And I'm not the highest grain of weed in the fucking dispensary either, but I know stupid shit when I see it. What the fuck did Nick Fury say in the first Avengers movie? Remember when they were like that secret shadow council that turned out to be mostly Hydra? They were like they wanted to nuke New York when the Chitauri invaded New York, and they were like, this council has came to a decision. And Sam Jackson's Nick Fury was like, I get that you came to a decision, but given that it's a stupid ass decision, I decided to ignore. I'm like, bro, thank you, Joss Whedon. That was like, I'm not a Joss Whedon fan as of recently because of Justice League. He fucking destroyed that movie, but that's one of the funniest lines in film history to me. That's like one of, if I had to pick if I had to make a top 5 list of Sam Jackson like lines where he curses, that's definitely making my top 5. Like I get that the council has come to a decision, but given that it's a stupid ass decision, I decided to ignore it. So, but yeah, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and close the stream out here, y'all. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Thanks to everybody that commented. As always, like, subscribe, and share. Emphasis on all that. No times is hard, but I still got to plug the show. So, if you can, it'll be greatly appreciated. If you can help keep the show going with a donation, contribution, whatever the term you want to use, your term you want to use, because that's, we change definitions of words now. But, if you can, if you can spare it, links down in the description down below on how to do that. I'm on Cash App, Patreon. I don't have a Venmo. Strangely enough, like I haven't made a Venmo yet for the channel, so I'll have to make one. Or I haven't made a PayPal either, so I'll have to do that. But yeah, definitely. But I do have free content on Patreon on there, so definitely go check that out as well. I don't believe in putting things behind a paywall, especially when it comes to information. But it's some funny stuff. Like speaking of Franco, me and Franco, we talked about our favorite rappers when he came on the show. I didn't find it appropriate to put it on. Well, now I probably could because I'll be talking about everything on this show now. So, but that's on there. I got drunk one night and was talking about aliens. That's on there too. And I do plan on putting an article on there soon that I wanted to finish. That's when I wanted to start possibly doing, a print version of American Autopsy, like doing like what are they called? Not when they're articles, but when people write their opinion piece. I was thinking about writing opinion pieces and putting them on Patreon. I think I still might do that. I just gotta, find the time to do it, I guess. It's like, so I barely have time to do the show. So it was like, how the fuck am I gonna be sitting down writing shit? Then I gotta find somebody to edit it and all that. So, but maybe I might get around to it. But it's content on there. So, like I said, I don't put anything behind the paywall. So go check that out. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace. Be easy.